What's happening, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to Junk Drummer TV, where I give my initial reactions, my hot takes, and my analysis on the drummers of today and yesterday, and maybe tomorrow if I stick around that long. I am a professional drum teacher and a gigging musician, and I have been for the last 20 plus years. So it is the day after the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl halftime performance proved once again that Generation X was the last time that there was timeless music made. I think it's because we didn't have social media, so we were all apathetic and disconnected, so we spent our time practicing our instruments and writing existential crisis lyrics, and we didn't spend all of our time hoping that our food pictures on fucking Instagram got likes and comments and shares. Speaking of, if you like what I'm doing, give me a like, comment, and share. So if you watch this channel, you know that I fly the flag of Generation X loudly and proudly, and we've done a bunch of drummers from that era, but today we're going to right a wrong. I've done Jimmy Chamberlain, I've done Dave Grohl, I've done Dave Aberzeese, I've done Matt Cameron, but I haven't done who I think may be one of the most underappreciated drummers, especially in that era, and definitely especially in the grand scheme of things, Sean Kinney from Alice in Chains. And this is not going to be a react video. I had this show that we're going to watch recorded on VCR tape back in the day when you had to really want to record a piece of content so you could watch it. Another reason why our music's better than you all millennials and zoomers. Now get off my lawn. Sean Kinney, he's overshadowed, unfortunately, by all of these other greats, but he's just as great. I think that he is another one of those, what I call the Alex Van Halen syndrome. He was in a band with Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley. Those are two giants of their respective sports. And Sean Kinney got lost and I think was too far out of the spotlight for as great as he was and still is. So today I have my period correct flannel. That's right. I saved them all because I knew that shit was going to come back because everything is cyclical. And we're going to break down and give some appreciation to one of the all-time greats who's still killing it. Those last couple Alice in Chains records are fucking great. So let's watch Sean Kinney with Alice in Chains play one of my all-time favorite songs, No Excuses.
The song's called No Excuses.
It's one of the all-time great intros to any song. I love this groove. I am still working on recording my full drum set here in the newly minted Junk Drummer TV studios, and I'm going to be doing a video on this down the road. I'll put some time between this and then, but we're going to break down this groove. The thing about that groove, it's something that I think a lot of drummers don't think about. Man, drums can be as melodic as a guitar hook. This whole verse groove is a drum hook. And he's probably in the top 10 of best looking drummers we've had on the channel. I forgot how good looking Sean Kinney was.
It's alright. There comes a time. Got no patience to search for peace of mind.
What I love about this groove is it's still just a 2 and 4, and I think the bass drum's on just 1 and 3. But all the ornamentation that he places around the 2 and 4 that makes it an interesting groove. This groove could have easily been down, down, boom, da, da, doom, ba, da, da. It could have just been an AC/DC quarter note groove. But the tom hits, that's something I'm going to have to get when I do the breakdown of this song, is I'm going to have to get some bongos. The bongos that he uses, the splashes, at the very heart of this groove, it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter note groove, but it's all of the ornamentation he hangs around that 2 and 4 that just makes this just such a memorable, cool groove. Man, I watched this so much when I was a kid. When you're writing your parts, you should always be thinking about what's happening before and what's happening after. That verse groove is notey. Again, it's still just a basic 1, 2, 3, 4 groove, but there's so much stuff, so many other things going on around it. At least I think, and man, the thing about this music, it's in my DNA. This shit's in my DNA. I sit down a drum set to this day, and I still play stuff like this. Because it's just, it's just what I was devouring when I started on the instrument. It's such a busy groove, even though it's still simple at the heart of it. But the chorus is this wonderful release because it's just 1, 2, and 4, and I think. I can't remember what the exact groove is. But it's just back to just a bass drum, snare drum groove. And the juxtaposition of that busyness of the verse, which is a lot of times you don't see a lot of busier things like that, unless you're talking like Carter Beauford, busy verse grooves. But then the chorus is so simple, and it has this big release. It's like that busy verse groove is causing all this tension that gets broke at the chorus. Yeah, if you took the tom stuff, the hi-hat embellishment, the bongo out, the splash stuff, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's just an expertly written and performed groove. I think it's one of the top. I think it's like, man, it might be hyperbole, but this could be like a Mount Rushmore groove on this verse, man. It's okay. That cymbal embellishment right there was dope as shit. Yeah, fuck yeah. Some of that stuff isn't on the recording. This is from the Jar of Flies EP, another record that I just wore out and still will come back to. That tom drum fill there where he doesn't do the crash off the floor tom, I'm pretty sure there's some improv going on there. That's something that those bands from that era, from my era, when they played live, they weren't jamming, but they were improvising. They were living in the moment, and that's what made those live performances so special. Led Zeppelin, they had their set format for the song, but man, they jammed, right? They were still prodding the song along and making it interesting for themselves. Those harmonies, there's just few things better than Alice in Chains harmonies. Since we've got that picture on him, and I mean, if you've watched a lot of my videos, I've done some PSAs because I've unfortunately have experienced it through friends of mine of the bad things that can happen when you're a creative, artistic type. Let's put it like that. But I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to get fucking down on this because I'm having such a good time on this. And it sucks that Lane's not around. Man, that's, Eddie's the only one left. Like, if you talk about the big four, Eddie Vedder's the last man standing. And before I get into this, I want to say this. I really wanted to say this. William Duvall, who replaced Lane Staley on those last 3 records, he's doing a great fucking job, man. And he's not doing an impersonation. He's killing. Today, actually, I listened to him do Wood, getting ready for this. And he's doing a great job. And, man, it is nigh on impossible to replace the singer. Yes, Van Halen did it a couple times, but it's impossible. And I want to talk about Lane in the sense that he created, and him and Eddie Vedder too, because if you think about that, the yardle, as they call it, that Seattle vocal style, Lane Staley is responsible for many, many lesser singers that came after him that basically were doing shitty karaoke impersonations of Lane Staley. That style, and even Eddie Vedder got rid of that later on. Lane Staley really fucked up a lot of singers who thought that they could do what he does. And something else about Alice in Chains. Man, I can't wait. I'm so glad I got to fucking talk about Alice in Chains today. You think about the Big Four. And yes, I know Screaming Trees and some other bands in the periphery of that movement, obviously. But, man, I have a lot of, metal friends that don't fucking like grunge, and they bitch and complain to me all the time, and I put it over and talk about how much that great rock and roll music, I think, is just one of the last times that rock music was relevant. But all those metal guys who don't like Pearl Jam and fucking hate Nirvana, they all love Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains is, I think, maybe the most, what would you put it? It's the most universally loved by music fans, because in my metal band, the 2 of the cats just fucking hate grunge. One of them was a hair metal band guy, unfortunately, and hated that it came in and killed all that shit, thankfully. But they all still love Alice in Chains. Man, okay, yeah, I'm fucking up here. Let's get this groove right here. Let's listen to this drum fill he does right here.
Find me sitting by myself with no excuses, and I know.
Get out of here, man. Get out of here with that. Oh, God, so good. Let's talk about this right here. This Mike, is this Mike Inez? I think it's still Mike Inez then, because I think Mike Inez eventually left, the bass player, left to play with Ozzy, I think. That's a shot at Metallica, so that what he's got written on his bass guitar there, it says, "Friends don't let friends get friends haircuts," and this is right around when Metallica started courting the cheerleader football player set, and cut their hair off and try to get good looking or what have you. That's a little rip there to Metallica. Jerry Cantrell, man. All-time great. They were kind of the least grunge sounding of that scene.
Yeah, it's fine. Walk down the line. Leave our rain and go trade the warm sunshine. You, my friend, I will defend. But if we change, then I love you anyway. Every day is something else beyond so
So
cold.
good.
Find me sitting by myself, no excuses, and I know.
That harmony where Lane goes up right there on the "All I Know," he doesn't do that on the recording and stuff. So they're even messing around with the harmonies there. Man, there are few few harmonies in rock and roll that are fucking cooler than when Lane and Jerry sang together. Man, these guys are at their peak. Unfortunately, you know, Lane, for whatever reason, wasn't meant for this world for very long. I was in the studio when that news hit. I was recording a record. Yeah. You know, I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's music that will always live on, because it's just at the here's the thing about the grunge scene. People talk about grunge, and it became too much about fashion, obviously, because, I mean, dude, music and fashion are married. But what it was just a return to just rock. The music before grunge was hair metal and metal, because metal just is always around. That's one of the great things about metal is it has increases in popularity and dips in popularity, but it doesn't go anywhere. But, you know, before fucking Nirvana and Alice in Chains, I mean, it was fucking Poison and Motley Crue and embarrassing cringe shit. And the drums and all those records, except for Tommy Lee. I will trash Motley Crue as a band, but I will fucking say that Tommy Lee's a great drummer. He's definitely the best drummer from that era and that scene. I will say that. But the drum sounds of that time were awful. They were over-processed and gated to hell, and then put a bunch of reverb, which is something I've never understood. Gate a drum, kill all of its resonance, and then put a bunch of, onboard reverb on it. And grunge music was a reaction to that. It was... Always think of, like, when grunge music came along, it just took like a sickle to the wheat and just fucking ripped it all down. And that's why that music is going to always live on. Rock and roll, pure, unadulterated rock and roll. It will always live on if it's good enough. And this shit was great, man. Lane Staley is one of the all-time great singers. This is just one of the all-time great bands. And I hope today that I reminded some people how innovative Sean Kinney was. I didn't really talk about his feel, because actually on this particular song, he was kind of playing a little bit on the beat. Sean Kinney, on a lot of the recordings, like you think of like Man in the Box or Rooster, he had a really behind the beat, lopey, lazy feel. We didn't see that today. But what you saw was taking something that's simple, 1, 2, 3, 4 groove, boom, tap, and with just a little creativity and a little bit of high-level ability, you can take something that we've all done 1,000 times and add to it and ornament it and make it something fresh and original, taking the simple things and making them your own. I've not heard another groove like No Excuses since No Excuses. So, man, I wish Brother Lane was still around, because I don't think he was done making music. Maybe he thought he was. But I'm glad that Alice in Chains is still around, man. William Duvall's doing a fucking bang-up job with that band. He's killing it still. Jerry's still killing it. And like I said, I watched a bunch of Alice in Chains today with the new singer, and they still sound just as good. Sean Kinney, unfortunately, because he was in a band with two big greats, he gets forgotten about. And that's one of the things I do around here at Junk Drummer TV, is I want to remind you people of some of those people that don't get enough love. So tomorrow, or today, because I'm doing this at like 2 o'clock in the morning, go listen to those first couple Alice in Chains records, man. If you haven't listened to them before, they may change your life. That band could become your life. They're that good. Thank you all for watching. Keep practicing until it's easy.